Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove, a local hour. We are talking linebackers from EKU football. We got Jaylen, Herrud, Derek Day, and Jake Johnson all joining us today. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove local hour.
McKinney looks, steps into pocket, throws, open receiver, touchdown! Colonels, we're not done yet!
Our identity is we're going to press for 40 minutes, we're going to play up-tempo, we're going to play with unbelievable passion, and then our brand is the most exciting 40 minutes in sports.
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove Local Hour presented by Mad Mushroom Pizza. You may have seen their mascot roaming around campus this week in the opening days, being there, getting some pizza out there, some cheese sticks and things like that. Located right across the street from campus. Mad Mushroom's been serving Colonel since 2016, and you can try them out and get a discount as well. If you go into the store, just mention the Sports Stove podcast. You get $5 off your order of $20 or more, or order online at madmushroom.com. Use the code SPORTS5, and you're going to get that same discount there as well. I'm Vince Stover, joined by the one and only Ryan Jackson. Hey, Rhino, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Class is in session.
Sure is.
All right, so how different is the schedule now that classes are going on?
Don't want to say it's better, but I mean we're still practicing all the time. It's just you got class that interferes.
Yeah, more air conditioning, I'm assuming, than last week.
Sure, definitely was.
Although we've had such a great week weather-wise.
Been blessed.
Yeah, too bad it wasn't last week when you guys were out there. Now I know Coach, he's a lover of the heat. Coach Wells is, but of course he's not the one running around in pads either. But he seems to like it though, and you guys get a hot day out there at practice. Of course, get you ready for game day, which is, my goodness, right around the corner. We're 2 weeks away, I think, from game one.
2 weeks.
Cincinnati. Have you started doing more game film on them yet, or still not quite?
We're still trying to better ourselves. And like the thing with the heat, Coach Wells likes practicing in the heat because we're gonna have to play in the heat at some point in time, whether it's week 1, week 2, week 3. Some point in time, we're gonna have to play in the heat.
Yeah, you'll be in. You got a game in Texas this year, right? Are they coming to you guys, or are you guys going to Texas?
I think they're coming to us. I don't think.
Okay. Well, the next year you got a game in Texas, so you're getting ready for that. Plenty of things to get ready for though along the way. Anything exciting happen in practice this week?
This week, I guess the offense scored on us, so that might be the most exciting thing for them. For us,
I've heard of players complaining to the social media team for posting clips when they've had a good day, but they post the one clip of the bad moment they had in practice. So I'm assuming everybody's pretty well aware of that stuff.
Yeah, probably a DB or something that's got. You come to hear it at practice the next day, like, you only posted the bad clips. You only posted I had great reps off. They don't care. The highlight reel looks cooler than all your good clips.
Yeah, I feel bad for those cornerbacks, man. They can shut down a guy and nobody notices because the ball doesn't get thrown to them. But they get mossed or something like that. It's all over at that point. One bad play, or one not even bad play, one good play by the receiver, and you're getting put up on social media playing
on a poster.
High school football starts this weekend, so I don't know if you got. You guys, I'm sure, have had some high school kids come through already throughout the summer, probably, and things like that. What's your fondest memory of high school football?
Of high school football? Well, I had this one game in high school where I went crazy. The kids had commented before I had played, said I was just big and not good at football, and I kind of took that to heart a little bit. So I don't know how many stats or what stats I put up that game. I know I had an interception that I should have took to the house, but it's probably my fondest high school memory. Other than winning my state championship, that the other one just felt a little bit more personal.
I got you. Of course, winning is always going to be at the top of the list for sure. And then there's a guy that came in later in practice. He got mentioned last week. I believe it was last week in our conversation. But Isaac Dixon, running back, comes in. He was up the road and rolled up the road, I believe, at Kentucky and came down. And it sounds like he's making an impact pretty quick. Your special teams, maybe other things.
I agree. Isaac has come in and been an absolute workhorse for us. That's the one thing we really needed. His attention to detail and the way he walks around. He's a great guy, great character guy, and hopefully he gets his time, gets to play. I don't know what it will be, whether it's running back or special teams. I hope we get him on the field some way, somehow.
He's a Kentucky kid. Belfry, Kentucky is where he played high school at. So he'll be loved very quickly by the fan base. They always like the local kids coming in as well. So that's always a good time there. You guys have, like I said, 2 weeks until game number 1. So everything's, I'm sure, going to start turning up a little bit, especially next week when you guys get rolling into more game prep and things like that. When you look at the season ahead, now we've talked about this almost every show, though, about how exciting it is. Hey, we're getting closer, all that kind of stuff. Going to actually get to hit somebody that's not, on your team and all that good stuff. I mean, where's that level of anticipation at right now?
I think people are drooling. They can't wait to hit somebody else. It's nice because we have healthy competition amongst our team. So you go against somebody good every day, and there's no slouch in practice. Every player can play. Every rep is a good one or a bad one. But I can't lie. We can't wait to hit somebody else. And it's going to feel so great when we get to hit somebody else.
And you're going to get plenty of opportunity, no doubt about that as well. Position battles, I won't ask you to comment on those, but there are some position battles going on still to this day. Most of it is for playing time. I think the guys who are going to be on the field are pretty much known at this point, but how much time they get, how many snaps they get, all that kind of stuff is possibly up in the air. And I think this group we're talking about tonight, the linebackers, is as big as that. I mean, what's the rotation going to be like? Who's going to get, the majority of snaps? Who's going to start? All that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of talent in this linebacker group, both the outside and inside linebackers. So let's start. We're gonna have Jaylen on in just a few minutes. We've got Coach Derek Day, who's the outside linebacker coach, Coach Jake Johnson, who's the DC, as well as the inside linebackers coach. They're going to come talk to us here in just a few minutes. But I want to get Ryan's thoughts on these guys and these units. So let's start with the outside linebackers. You've got, of course, two different kind of player types on the outside. You got the guys who are going to rush. They're going to go after the quarterback more often than not. Those are the jacks. And then you got the other side. I forget what you call the other guys. Sams. Yes, the Sams, which is the Matthew Jackson spot, which was obviously the big subtraction, one of the big subtractions from the defense last year with him graduating out. So let's start with the jacks. You've got some big boys over there. Jaden Boss has been around. Check Fall's been around as well. And both of those guys working to kind of keep their momentum going and growth going into the new season. So what are you seeing from those returning guys, Jaden and Chick?
They've completely changed their bodies in the weight room. I'm honestly extremely proud of Bost and Chizzy. They've both grown so much since our freshman year. I'm excited because they both come with a lot of power, both come with a lot of energy, especially off the edge. And we look for them to bring us some juice, bring us a big player too. And I'm excited for them. I hope they're able to look at their past jacks that have had success here and can build on their own success. Because it's another one of those things where I don't want to keep saying that people are waiting their turn, but it's their time to crap or get off the pot. I can't wait to see what they do with their chance, though.
A guy that stood out in the last practice, we were talking about it briefly before we came on air, is Frank Lee. He's a new player, comes in from Carson Newman. But he really stood out in the last practice I was at. And he's a pretty big kid. He's listed at 240, 6'2", 240. So he's got the size, checks at 255. I think Jaden Boss is listed at 255 also. I can check that real quick. Yeah, he's at 250. So they're all in that bigger range. But Frank, man, he just seemed to have that burst out there on the field.
Yeah, Frank's a workhorse. He has a high motor, and he's brought so much life to our team, so much life that we needed. Because you love seeing guys that love to work, love to come to practice, and love to play, and that's Frank Lee all the way.
Let's slip to the inside now. You got four. I'm sorry, to the other side. We don't want to leave out these guys. The Sams. We got Cornelius Evans, who played a lot last year. Albert Nunez seems to be standing out in practice, and then Cam Jr. Transfer in from Cincinnati. So week 1, he'll get a chance to go up against some guys he knows. How about those guys on that side? That's pretty big shoes to fill over there, filling in for Matt Jackson.
It's another good competitive room. I like all three of them. I really hope they all get their own chances to play, but none of them can compare to Matt. And that's not good or bad. Matt was his own player, and these guys are their own players. They all play different. But the one thing that you can't take away from all four of them that we just named, their effort. These guys strain to the ball, they run to the ball, and they're one of our free hitters every time. Just another guys. All three of them give great effort, are good in pass coverage, and really like to come hit in the run.
So when I was out there last week, I was watching and writing down some things as I was out there, and I saw number 7 flying around. I thought he was a safety. That just the way he was playing, I thought he was a safety. And because I was just writing down numbers that I was seeing real quick, and then when I got home, I was checking on everything and looked it up. I was like, "Oh, it's Herrud Nunez. He's not a safety." That athleticism, it really showed, at least in practice, to me. Again, I understand I'm amateur. I'm just looking on from the sidelines, but he really showed to me that he's got a lot to give for this team this year.
Yeah, I would be excited to watch Bubba out there. I mean, we call him Bubba. His name out. But he's definitely a name to look out for. He's going to make a lot of splash plays just off his size and athleticism. He moves very well.
Then let's talk about the inside linebackers. We're going to talk to Jaylen Herrud in just a second here. You've known him a long time now, and I know you guys get along well. Elijah's been around as well, Elijah Ford. So let's go back to those returning guys. Jaylen has been that guy that the coaching staff has talked about off the air and on the air, but off the air, just how excited last year, man, they were so excited about the opportunities he was going to get. Now we come into another season. It's technically his 4th season, but he's listed as a junior with all the COVID rules and all that kind of stuff. So you got Jaylen and Elijah returning back to this team. What are you seeing from them this season so far?
Honestly, I've seen so much improvement since freshman year, and they both know it. That's the only reason I can say it like that, because they both know they've improved tremendously since freshman year. Both are widely super athletic, super talented, can cover just about any receiver you really put out there. Those two, the biggest thing they've improved their eye discipline, and that's been the biggest key for them, because they can read blocks, they can see linebackers, or they can see pullers, they can see tight end motion in the background, and they're kind of running our defense. They're making their voices heard, because now they know what's going on, instead of those young kids we back before where we didn't know. We were just out there running.
And then you got 2 new guys, both transfers. Kyle Kelly comes from Ohio, and Logan Blake from Marion. Both of these guys, older guys, redshirt senior for Kyle Kelly, grad student for Logan Blake. So these guys come in and are looking to contribute. And you've had some pretty big contributors from the transfer portal at this position in the past couple of years. What do we need to know about Kyle and Logan?
2 more blue-collar guys. Those guys come to work every day. They have gotten only better since we first got them in the spring, and they continuously get better. I love them because they keep pushing Jaylen and Ford, because there's no spot is secure in that room. And it's a beautiful thing, because they're all buddies. They're all really competing against each other. But those Logan Blake and Kyle Kelly are not to be messed with. Those 2 are definitely coming too.
And we'll talk to Jake Johnson about that rotation, how that's going to work, because I know it's going to be constantly moving in, moving out, guys coming in, coming out, getting lots of opportunities as well there. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Mad Mushroom Pizza, our title sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk with linebacker Jaylen Herrud here in just a second on the Sports Stove Local Hour. Mad Mushroom Pizza is now a proud sponsor of the Sports Stove podcast. Mad Mushroom, home of the original cheese sticks. Proudly serving EKU's campus, Mad Mushroom offers Colonel's amazing pizza, cheese sticks, wings, grinders, and so much more. Next time you visit, tell them the Sports Stove sent you, and you get $5 off any order over $20. Or visit online, madmushroom.com. And when you order, enter the code SPORTS5, SPORTS5, and you'll get that $5 off any order over $20. Mad Mushroom, feed your head. Well, welcome back into the Sports Stove Local Hour, presented by Mad Mushroom Pizza. It's time to bring in our first guest of the evening. I believe he's there. Let's see if he is there. Yes. Okay, here he comes. The linebacker, the one and only Jaylen Herrud. He's going to get that light on. There we go. Now we can see you and everything. How you doing, Jaylen?
What's good? Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Season number 4 is coming at you loud and clear. You had 10 tackles 2 previous seasons, but last year you come in 44 tackles, 3 tackles for losses, and your first career college interception as well. Of those numbers, tackles for losses, and interceptions, which one do you want to see go higher? I know you want to see them all go higher. Well, pick out one of those that you just say, hey, I got to do more of that this year.
If it's not interceptions, it's most definitely forced fumbles. We've put a great emphasis on attacking the ball this spring and this summer, so that's something I'm looking forward to doing.
So turnovers is a big priority, you'd say?
Oh, absolutely.
Pick six or hitting someone so hard the ball goes flying out. Which one feels better?
Oh God, that's hard. I think it's got to be the big hit. We love seeing big hits, especially.
Yeah, he ain't no pick six anyway.
Ooh. If we get a good block from Matt Jackson, that was 6 last.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that open field blocking, we're going to work on that. We looked at the highlight earlier this year of Ryan scoring a touchdown on offense in middle school, rumbling, tumbling down the field. Yeah, we'll have to go back in the video and check for blocking after interceptions for Ryan. Now, somebody told us, I don't remember, I think it was Mike Smith. He told us Ryan was a good blocker, but Ryan gets more time to block if Mike Smith gets his hands on the ball than if you do. You're a little closer to Ryan, so got to get that hustle factor going a little bit. Jaylen, what's it like this year? I mean, does it feel any different? What are you noticing in the locker room as this team prepares for the season?
Man, just a lot of fellowship between the guys, man. We got some transfers coming in from all over the team, but in our room specifically, Kyle Kelly and Logan Blake are fantastic additions, and it's been very competitive in the room. And at the same time, while it's competitive, we've also gotten to know each other very well, and we're taking the competition and the brotherhood that we have in the room, and we're trying to spread it throughout the team. Guys getting cool with. I think Kyle's attached to the hip by Jackson Hensley. They're best buds. And, they integrated well in the team, and that happens all over. Safety room's real close, corner room real close. DBs as a whole are all friends, and they all have transfers, in and out. So that, and then the competition, man, there's competition everywhere. Everyone's always focused on the competition in our room, but I promise you, it's everywhere on the field, and it's only elevated us. There's not been too much complaining about it. It's more embracing it. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Now you're kind of you're a veteran on the team, but the last couple of years you've had some older guys, and you do this year too, but come into your room specifically. Has that helped you grow, mature as a player, having older guys in the room with you to kind of help show you what the way, I guess?
Yeah, man. For me, coming in, I knew that I had a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do. And earlier on, it took a minute, but earlier on, I took the mindset of the team. We put emphasis on the team since I've been here. But I really bought into that one year and, accepted the fact that whatever we got going on in our room, whoever plays on that field, whoever touches that field the most, it's for the betterment of our team. So instead of making it about me or taking things personal, I need to learn and grow from people who play in front of me, because clearly they're doing something right and I'm not, and eventually it clicked, and I built those good habits, those good practice habits, and eventually I got to a point where now I am the vet guy, and guys are coming to me asking me about the defense, and I'm giving advice to guys doing the same thing that I was receiving earlier in my career. And I think it did help me grow, help me mature, be humbled, and not take my personal feelings away from the business that we're in, the job that we have to do, so that we can execute.
Do you find any, I don't know if solace is the right word, any comfort in the fact that you got guys around you, even though there are transfers and new guys and guys that have left and all that kind of stuff, but you've got guys that have been there with you the whole time and that are playing next to you, in front of you, behind you, that have been with you this whole time as well? Is there any comfort in having those returning guys, that familiarity, I guess, in the locker room?
Yeah, man. I mean, for me personally, yes, because I came to college looking for a home. I came out of high school wanting to be somewhere for 4 years. I wasn't really interested in the portal, or I just wanted to be somewhere where I was loved and I loved the people. You know what I'm saying? And it is reassuring to look left. I can see Elijah Ford, or look behind me. I can see Nick Cheeley. Look in front of me. I see Ryan. You know what I'm saying? And these are all guys that I've been in the trenches with. Not everyone can say that they played in that Marshall versus EKU game in 2020. Not everyone can say that. So to have those guys who were with me, you know what I'm saying, when times were rough, to be where we are now as a program, advancing, becoming better, getting better, trying to, become a bigger, more important program. Yeah, it's definitely comforting, is the word I would use for sure.
All right, Rhino, we've talked about Jaylen off the air. We've talked about him a little bit on the air as well. But what do you got lined up for Jaylen tonight?
So for a lot of people that don't know, Jaylen is a showsman. Like somehow, some way, the camera always finds him. I just got to know, is that on purpose or on accident?
And what do they always say? You got to give the people what they want, man. You can't deny the people what they need. I don't know, man. I just try to have energy. I try to uplift the people around me, no matter where I am, no matter the area, the circumstance. I like brightening people's days. I feel like that's why I was put here on this earth. I feel like that's God's plan for me, is to really impact people's life for the better. So the camera must love it too. I was really more focused on the humans, but dude.
But if the camera catches it, it catches it, right?
I mean?
What are some things that you've done purposefully to accomplish that, making people's day better? Because you think about high school kids right now, and the egos, the desire to show off, all that kind of stuff. It's oftentimes about the individual. It's not about other people, and we're starting. It's not disappeared. There's still that around, the idea of loving people, treating people well, trying to help people have a better day. But you're now 4 years into school. You're a grown man. So what are some things you've purposefully done in your life, and specifically in the last couple of years, that you say, hey, I do this. This is going to make people's day. It's going to make them have a better day than what they're having before.
No lie, I'm a funny dude. And I take the time to analyze the room I'm in, to read the room I'm in, analyze the people I'm speaking with, to get where their sense of humor is. Because I ain't gonna lie, if you can make someone laugh, you can brighten someone's day. You can get to know somebody. If you can get their humor, you can get some other things about them. So, I get to know people. Like, I've built a relationship with Coach Johnson over years, and I will say stuff that he said to me in 2020, and he'll start crying laughing now. Like, anything with Walt Wells, like, have you ever heard us say, "What are you doing?" Like that. That is a very specific thing. And in the moment that he said that, it was not funny. He was very mad when he said that on the field at West Virginia. But we've made it a sticker on our helmet. We made it like a running, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a bit of humor for us. So examples like that. For my guys, like, for the freshmen specifically, like Maddox Curtis, he's Max Marcellus, sorry. Max Marcellus is a new guy in our room, and he's kind of shy, but he's a great kid. He's a fantastic kid, but he's kind of shy. He doesn't speak that much. But I made it a point to figure out where his head's at, where his headspace is at. First off, check on his mental, see if he's missing home, if he misses his mom. But as soon as I got that out the way and made sure that he's okay, I got to chop it up with him, making him laugh, pay attention in the meetings, and see when he looks confused on film. I'm like, "Yo, what are you doing? It's not what we're on." and he laughs at it because of the way I say it to him. But then after I can open him up and get him to feel comfortable and laugh, I can then coach him through and be like, "Look, keep your right hip up, keep your right foot with your right shoulder, then you can make that play." It's things like that. It's keeping a nice balance between communicating with guys as it pertains to football, but also getting to know them as a person. It's probably one of the bigger things I do, because you can't make someone's day better if you don't know them.
Love it. What else you got, Rhino?
Yeah, he should never sell himself short on that. Jaylen's voice is strong, especially on our team. He's a great communicator for us. He's done a lot of good things, especially in these past 4 years, that I've noticed that he's changed, and it's been awesome. But the one thing we do need to work on is your celebrations, because they happen a little too fast, and the people don't know. Like when you're celebrating, it just don't hit the same. Because most of the time you fall. Like
whoa.
Like,
Oh,
I'm just telling you. Like you make a cool sack. Like at Marshall, you made the sack, flex and everything, but after that you gassed. Like come on. Like we got to work on their celebration.
All right, so what are we gonna do to work on these celebrations? Do you agree, Jaylen? Celebrations can use a little bit of work. They got to grow with you, right? So a little bit of work coming for celebrations this year.
yeah. You know, I can't say that it's been at the top of the list, but now that you mention it,
Right.
I could give it a little couple tweaks. I screamed too much after my
Right.
a whole lot of and I lose my breath. But
you need more celebrations with your D lineman. I don't know who that is, but you need more celebrations with them.
Now we're venturing off into flag territory. You got to calm. So I've been working on handshakes with guys. Something quick and easy, something the camera can capture.
Mm-hmm.
After my pick 6, I wrote the quarterback's name in the death note. That was
they cut it right there. We cut it right out.
But someone got that video. The two cameras, one of them got it. But yeah, I can work on that. More body movements rather than screaming my lungs out, so I have the energy to the next play. But yeah.
Now let me ask you this: with the with Matt leaving, graduating out, and obviously he was a very vocal guy on the defense and things like that. Do you feel that opens the door for you to let your personality out a little bit more? Or was he did you accompany him with that personality?
Matthew Jackson had enough personality for all of us. He definitely, I think I honestly had the same personality I do now. It was just a lot less noticeable because Matthew Jackson's in the room. But it's not like I'm trying to fill his role of giving us energy, but I think I'm filling my role of giving us energy, something that the coaches have been looking for from me for years now, and it's something that I'm now confident to do. I can have energy and it be for a reason. I've played in games. I've shown that I can be of value to the team. It's not just talk. So yeah, I'm increasingly giving energy every day because I think that's my role. It's not one that I'm trying to fill. It's just more the one that was meant for me.
That's a great answer. And I love that you understand that and know that. That's important. And man, that's awesome. Well, listen, enough about Matt and the past. It's all about the future. Next up is Cincinnati coming up here very, very soon. I've asked Ryan this every week since he's been on the show all summer. That anticipation of finally getting to hit somebody that's not on your team. How excited are you about that Cincinnati game?
Oh, so very. Oh, so very. We like to say it. I'm ready to crash out. It's been so long. I've been hitting maroon or white, really.
Yeah.
It's so many live periods, so many scrimmages. And quarterbacks haven't been live. You can't bull rush our running back into our quarterback because that would be my scholarship.
Yep.
I'm so very excited to hit somebody in a different color jersey.
Definitely. Well, hey, we're excited to see you hit somebody. We're excited about the season ahead for you and what it's going to hold for you. I'm looking forward to the pick 6 and the celebration that comes with it. I'm looking forward to that big hit, that Jadeveon Clowney hit that knocks the ball 20 feet up in the air. We're looking forward to all of that this year. And most importantly, we're looking forward to just seeing you guys have a good time and living your dream out there on the field. So if we didn't have another guest waiting, we'd keep you on for another hour, but we're going to get on to the next guest. Jaylen, I really do appreciate you taking some time for us tonight. We'll get you back on as the season goes on, but good luck, man, moving forward.
For sure. Appreciate everything, man. Y'all have a great night.
All right, see ya. That's Jaylen Herrud, the linebacker, inside linebacker for EKU football. You can catch him this season out there at the Kid. By the way, you need to get your tickets. Get lined up. Season tickets are affordable. Get them now. Get them ready to go. Call Raymond. Get it all taken care of. And, of course, be there for the road games, too. Cincinnati and Lexington is not a far drive. So get those tickets and be there. All right, Ryan, our next guest is ready and waiting. So we're going to bring him in now. He's the outside linebacker, Coach Derek Day. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
Not much. We just talked to an inside linebacker, but you get to see him out there as well a little bit. How you liking your room this year with the outside linebackers?
You know, it's a little bit different, and I caught the end. I was waiting in backstage here as this thing said. I caught the end of Jaylen talking about Matt a little bit, and you know, it's a little different being in a room that's, you know, the one that Matt's not in, but two, you just don't have, you know, the guys that we all thought were young guys, just like Rhino here, are now the old guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of funny to watch that dynamic shift. And we've brought in some more young guys behind them. So, you know, at both the Jack and Sam positions, you've got a lot of competition. You got a lot of guys that are hungry. I said this earlier to Rickson, you know, there's a lot of production on the table. That's a lot of production that's playing in Nashville and Jacksonville right now. So, you know, we got to replace. So we're, you know, guys have been really hungry, and they've just been, you know, it's just been a workmanlike approach from that room through these 2.5 weeks of camp. And I'm really proud of where we're at.
I am going to talk about this year more than last year, but let me bring this up real quick. Matt's been on the show a million times. Still message with them and excited for the opportunities having, and Willie, of course, as well in Jacksonville. How cool was it? Did you get a chance to watch the games last week?
I didn't get a chance. Willie had a little groin issue, so he didn't play. I didn't get a chance to watch the game live with Matt. But I did watch some highlights, and I've seen some coaches' films since then. You know, and kind of what, you know, I told him early on in his career here, he made a name for himself playing special teams.
Yep.
And that's what he's right back to square one, and he's doing that again at that level and making a name for himself on special teams. And you know, it's fun to watch, and you know, it's kind of it's cool to get text message. I still text with those guys and talk with them a little bit, and, you know, just to see how they're doing and check in on them from time to time. And so I'm very proud of those two young men for sure.
And they left behind. This is one thing, I coach basketball, so I tell the guys that are graduating out, hey, you guys are leaving a legacy. You got to leave something for the guys behind you to pick up and carry. And, you know, Matt was around for a long time. Willie was only around for a short time. But what those guys left behind, have the guys that are here now picked that up?
You know, I think they have. And I always use a phrase in recruiting is, you know, while you're here, you're the caretaker of the jersey. Because somebody wore that jersey before you, and somebody's going to wear that jersey after you leave. So while you're here, you're the caretaker of that jersey. The thing that, you know, Matt obviously brought a level of play and an excitement, all that kind of stuff to the program, and you see a lot of guys, you know, still patterning their games after him. Willie brought a level of maturity to the room. You know, obviously, as Rhino can attest, Willie's an old soul, man, and Uncle Willie, absolutely, Uncle Willie, and he just had he was in the training room as soon as it opened, and he was hydrating, and he was getting extra treatments, and he was doing all those things that professionals do. And, you know, and I think that's why he'll continue to have success and play this game for a long time, because he understands what it takes to take care of your body on and off the field. So
let's talk about
Jay Boss and those guys kind of do that this year.
Yeah, let's talk about those guys in that Jack position that are taking over for Willie and what Willie did last year. These guys played last year too. Jaden Boss and Check Fall are back, returning guys that you've had now for a couple of years. And what's the growth you've seen in those returning guys?
How much time do I have? Those two, man, are. I'm so proud of how far they've come, and, you know, still obviously have a lot to do and a lot of work to get done. But, you know, Shaq obviously coming off of a knee injury, worked his stinking tail off all spring and summer to get back. Actually had probably his best practice he's ever had at Eastern Kentucky today, you know, and really got after it. And Jaden Bost is starting to lead and starting to mature. And, you know, the effort with those two kids and the ability has always been there, but it's always been Coach Wells always talks about the consistency and performance, and that's been the issue with those two. Is it's been a roller coaster, and so far this camp, knock on wood, they've been both pretty good. So I've really enjoyed coaching both of them this fall. That's for sure.
I was talking with Ryan earlier about Frank Lee. The last practice I was at, watching him run around out there, he stood out again. I'm just a bystander, just looking on from the outside. But to me, he stood out watching him play, and him and others. What's the excitement level about the other guys in the room?
The other guys there. I mean, obviously you got Frank, and Frank kind of fits that Willie mold a little bit. He's a little bit of an old soul. He's kind of the uncle of the group. Willie or Frank, excuse me. I do that sometimes. I've called him by the wrong thing. Frank, he plays with a really big chip on his shoulder because, this is a kid that was a junior college basketball player, played football in high school, I think for maybe one year, and then went to Carson Newman and, got a chip on his shoulder because everybody's like, oh, he's a basketball player. Is he going to be physical? Is he going to be tough? And that sucker is all of the above. He's country strong. He's country tough. I mean, he's from low country, South Carolina, and he's a tough kid, man, and works his butt off. And then the other guy we added to the room was Gabe Stevens, who's a tremendous athlete, transferred here from University of North Carolina. Obviously athletically has some flashes that just, I think at one point the other day he hit almost 21 miles an hour on our GPS. And that's at 220 pounds. I'm just like, And I'm sitting there looking at him thinking he's not running hard. And I'm like, man, you got to get to the ball. And then our strength staff comes in and is like, yeah, coach, he was going like 20.5 miles an hour. And I was like, okay, maybe he is running hard, but he's just so smooth that he kind of makes it happen. So both of those new additions, since the winter and the spring have brought a lot to the group. And it's a very, very close group. They push each other. They have a lot of fun. They celebrate when the other guys have success, and that's a lot of fun to watch as a coach.
Before I get to the Sams, I'll let Rhino speak because I tend to take up all the time. So go ahead, Ryan. What you got?
Coach, you were speaking about Coach Wells earlier and some of his sayings. You've been around him for a long time.
Oh, God.
What's one of his favorite sayings or like one of your favorite memories from Coach Wells?
Well, I've known Coach Wells since 2009. And coach for some reason took a liking to me. I was a strength GA my first year coaching, and then became a defensive GA my second year when the staff got retained. And I kind of just took the approach that I was going to work, and that staff got let go. I was actually on the staff with Coach Dietzel as well at that time over on the other side of the state, and he took a liking to me and just kind of took me under his wing. And I was on the other side of the ball. I've never worked on offense in my life. I've never been on the same side of the ball as him. But, he just kind of always was a mentor to me. And then we were together again at Tennessee. We're able to work together. He's like family to me. So I've obviously known him for a long, long time. One of my favorites is, and he doesn't say it a bunch anymore. Coach, you'll hear Coach Johnson say it, but it's, what are we waiting on? Spring dance. And it's, when the ball's not snapped, when the ball's not down, when the drill's not ready, what are we waiting on? Spring dance. And it just, every time I say it a lot too. And I've said it at other schools I've been at, and people look at me like, what are you talking about? you just got to know WW, man.
Yeah.
Coach, at some point I need to sit down with you and chat Tennessee because I grew up in Tennessee and a big volunteer fan and everything. And Neyland Stadium is one of the coolest sites, I think, in all the world. So nonetheless, we won't talk about that tonight, though. We got other things. Let's get to the Sams and who's the guy who's stepping up, no one's going to replace Matthew Jackson as far as being Matthew Jackson. But who's stepping up to take the lead there, and what guys are looking to get those snaps this season at that position? I know Matt will watch this, so I'll say there's not another Matt Jackson, and that may be a blessing.
When I started working here, this beard was dark, and then it got to be a little bit gray. But no, I'm just kidding. But the thing about it is you got a group of guys. That were here. It's very similar to the Sam position or Jack position. You've got, additions from postseason, you got guys coming back off of injuries. You got Albert Nunez, who transferred here in the spring from Garden City, Kansas, and did a great job for us. Cornelius Evans actually started a couple games when Matt was hurt last year, who's from Butler Community College by way of Georgia Tech. And, he's had a really good camp. And Jaylen Houston has been in that position, Jaylen's another guy coming off of a knee. But, again, him and Shaq were in lockstep all spring and summer, getting themselves back and putting themselves in position to be healthy and be ready. And then the new addition, again, that we've had another summer new addition is a kid named Cam Jr., who transferred here from Cincinnati. High school teammates of Shaq Fall. And, I joke with Shaq that he helped in that recruitment. So it's good to see that some of our players can recruit a little bit. But all of them are kind of, that's the thing about the outside linebacker room is when you look at an O-line room, most of the O-linemen look alike. When you look at a D-line room, most of the D-linemen look alike. Inside backers, what have you. When you look at the outside linebacker room, we got dudes that are 6'5", 255 pounds, and we've got dudes that are 5'10" and 200 pounds, and they're playing technically the same position. And it's just, it is just a such a versatile group. And the good thing about it is for me as a coach, I always say the game's, it's chess, it's not checkers. And it's, everybody can do different things. They can move different ways. They can make different plays. It's my job to put them in those positions to make those plays.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned this earlier in the program, but the practices that I've been at, Nunez, I thought he was a safety. Way he was flying around on the field. He was incredibly athletic, incredibly fast, and making a lot of plays too. When I was there, I've only been there for a couple practices, but when I was there, he looked really, really sharp. And that's the kind of stuff as a fan perspective, which is me, it gets you excited for the season going, man, we got guys that are going to fly around. Because when Matt was on the field last year, there was a noticeable speed difference when Matt was on the field versus the next guy behind him.
It's
good.
Funny. Bubba is a former safety, but really, if you go back and watch Bubba's high school tape, he was a defensive end in high school, and just one of those. It really was a 3-4 outside backer. Was really playing jack. Was just rushing off the edge every single time, and then went to obviously went out to Garden City, and they moved him to safety because that's kind of what he was. And I'll give the kid credit. He's put on probably 10 to 15 pounds since he's got here of good muscle. Coach Brown's done a great job with him in the weight room. The kid's done a great job of putting on the right kind of weight. But big thing is Coach Johnson will talk about run, hit, get excited. If you do those three things on defense, you can be a pretty good player. And Bubba does all three of those things. I'd like him to do a little bit more consistently. Sometimes I had to get on him a couple times today about finishing, but at the end of the day, he's a kid that loves football, and that's going to take you a long way in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Cincinnati's coming up pretty fast, so you guys are starting off with an easy one. As you guys get into that game, I'm kidding, of course, if there is any Cincinnati fans watching. But you get into how soon do you get into the game prep now for Cincinnati?
We'll start looking at them. We're still technically in training camp this week, even though the guys are in the first week of school. We've got a scrimmage on Saturday. And then we'll start kind of easing into it. We won't go full on scouts like some teams do, or like you will in a regular game week. We'll kind of start getting to the point where it's, hey, you got one period of scouts a day instead of 3 to 4. So you kind of start easing into it a little bit, but you do start introing it. Sometimes as coaches, you start talking about certain situations without saying it's Cincinnati. You kind of trick them into it a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, yeah, remember that thing we talked about? Yeah, that's actually Cincinnati. So, but no, we'll start, early next week, and we've obviously as coaches we've kind of already been working on it, so we'll get the ball rolling soon.
And has Cam said anything about that game? Of course, he came down from Cincinnati.
He's I believe, in a word, motivated.
Okay,
is all I would say.
Good, Rhino. Anything else for Coach Day?
No, I'm good for now.
All right, Coach. We appreciate your time. I know you're incredibly busy, but always appreciate you taking some time for us on the show. Good luck. We're looking forward to the season getting going. Looking forward to seeing what your group does out there this year as well. So good luck to you, and we'll see you sometime down the road.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll see. That's Coach Derek Day, the outside linebacker coach for EKU football. And it's time to get to our third guest, the one you've all been waiting for, of course. It's the defensive coordinator and the inside linebacker coach, Jake Johnson. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing fine. Ryan's been telling us all kinds of stories about you. No, I'm kidding. He's not. Well, let's start with the defensive coordinator stuff. We're going to focus on the linebackers. We're previewing linebackers tonight. Yep. But if we got the DC on, we got to talk a little bit of everything there. You guys got a big bounce back year coming up this year. Tough opponents, of course, especially getting started and throughout the entire year. So what's the mindset for the defense coming into this new season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we have to we got a lot of new players. We got a lot of new energy, and the guys that we kept around, I think they did a great job in the offseason, doing what they need to do. But the mindset really for us is just go out there, play hard, play physical, and get to the ball, create as many turnovers as we can get.
Now, I'll ask this question. I usually wait till later in the interview to ask this question, but I've asked it with Coach Hawkins. I didn't have time to ask it to Coach Day. But the big question mark at the end of last season was the run defense. Me and Ryan have talked about it on the show and as well. So obviously the emphasis is always complete defense. How are you feeling about the run defense coming into this season versus what happened last season?
Well, I think we've done a really good job in the offseason. I think simplifying some things for the guys on our end as a coaching staff, and I think these guys buying into what they need to do. We've done a lot of run stuff. Coaches, there's a bunch of mixed down periods and sub run periods and stuff like that there in camp that really help out, and a lot of red zone stuff, which you're going to get a lot of run in there. So I feel good about it. I think it's a lot of those. Like I tell the guys all the time, it ain't about those calls I'm making. It's about those guys running it. So if we get those guys excited and ready to go and do it, then we'll be fine.
Last defensive coordinator question for you tonight. Do you wish you had a good quarterback to go against in practice so that you could actually help your defense learn anything? No, that level of competition, though, that's complete on the team. As a defensive coordinator, a guy who's been around the game for a long time, what do you like about having that really elite competition on the other side of the ball?
Well, I'll tell you what, the defensive staff's going to have a party after the scrimmage we have on Saturday. I won't have to defend Parker anymore. But it's fun. I mean, we get jawing back and forth every now and then, and I don't have as big a role in special teams as I used to with Coach McKeithen leaving and the guys doing it, Coach Day and Coach Franklin doing more special teams, guys on defense. So I get to walk around and I talk to those QBs a bunch when they're over there throwing the ball into the net, and we talk a lot of trash to each other. But it's fun. It makes our guys. We had a couple plays. I think we had some red zone plays, a live session 2 days ago now. And he put the ball on the money 2 times and made some big time plays. And you got to stay on your guys and say, hey, we got to finish through the ball and we got to do these things. But reality is, we go into that quiet film in there and we start watching it and we say, hey, that's a really good throw.
You can live with some of those, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to make our share of them, but sometimes they made a play.
Yeah. Ryan, what you got for Coach Johnson?
So, Coach, you played center, and that's a very known thing. If what really separates a defensive player from an offensive player? Is it more of a mindset, like tackle? I don't know. What would you say?
I think it's a little bit more of a mentality. I think the O-lineman, I think you got to be an aggressive guy to play O-line. You got to be able to do those things, but the fanatical effort to the football and playing without the football, that mentality to me really separates the offensive players from the defensive players. The guys, the good ones I've been around, the good ones I've coached. When I played O-line, we did have some really, really good. I was blessed to play with some really good players and learn from a lot of really good players. Guys played in the NFL, guys were All-Americans, things like that. But I think the biggest thing is the mentality of guys.
In your inside linebacker room, you've got 2 guys returning that are expected to play a lot of snaps.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jaylen on earlier, and then you also got Elijah Ford as well, who got more snaps last year as well and moving forward. Let's start with the returning guys. What have you seen in their growth, and what's the expectation that you put on those guys for the contributions they need to make this year?
Well, I think both of those guys. I think both of them end up starting. I think Elijah ended up starting the last 5 ball games last year, and Jaylen ended up starting 4 of the last 5. He had got banged up a little bit, got a head issue where he couldn't start one of them. I think both of them done a great job in the off season with their leadership stuff. I think Jaylen's done probably a little bit better job with the leadership, just being around. And I know Coach, he's on the leadership council and things like that, which we're trained to being a leader and doing all those things. It definitely helps you, as a linebacker, because I think the good linebackers I've been around, even when I was a D-line coach for a long time ago, thinking about a guy like Jordan Dalrymple. We had a kid that was a conference player year. Andrew Susi was a nose guard, and Jordan just constantly stayed on him about performing things right, doing things right, all those things. So they've done a good job of stepping up their leadership at Elijah and Jaylen. And then the biggest thing is they're going to be another year in the system, and seeing the stuff and know all the stuff. Usually when checks come up, they know what to do. They know exactly what we're trying to get out of it. There's sometimes I have to say, hey, remember, we're doing it like this now. We're not doing it that way anymore. But they're like, oh yeah, coach, I remember it. So their familiarity in my coaching style, our system, our expectations it's really unbelievable how good a job they've done.
You have probably at inside linebacker have probably brought in some of the most experienced guys through the transfer portal over the last couple of years. They've been guys on the D line, of course, as well, guys everywhere. But this year, you guys bring in 2 new guys, and Kyle Kelly and Logan Blake. Both have some experience, both older guys, and those guys, I'm assuming, are expected to contribute this year, from what I've seen at least. So, what can you tell us about these new guys and what they bring to the team?
Well, when we went to the portal this year, we really looked for character guys and high skill level guys, and both of them really are good character guys. Kyle obviously is his brother played here. Actually, his brother played here when I was coach here. His uncle played here in the 80s, so he knows a lot about EKU football. He knows a lot about things like when you talk to the kid about some of his goals, things he wants to do here, they have a lot to do with the program and making the program better. So we were really excited to get him. And then Logan, when I had the opportunity to meet him in person and when we were doing recruiting, he's just one of those guys when you meet in person, he's about business, man. That kid he lives in the training room, lives in the weight room. He's always trying to find a edge, how he can get better, those things like that. And he was actually a high school cornerback and a point guard. And when you look at him now, you're like, there's no way, but he's developed his body over 4 or 5 years. And man, he's been a really blessing to work with these last 6-7 months he's been here.
What's your ideal number of guys to rotate through in those inside linebacker spots?
I tell the guys all the time, really, it's all I can get ready for a game during a week is all I can get ready for is 5. Like I can get the 1s and the 2s, the reps early in the week. The whoever the 5th guy has to be a swing guy. In case anything happens, whether you get a mic go down or will go down. Now you can play either or. He has to be a swing guy. But that's really the amount of reps we get in a week, and we get a lot of reps. But as a coach, I only feel comfortable with really getting 5 guys ready. I always tell our linebackers, we usually travel 6 inside linebackers. I always tell the 6th guy, say, hey man, you got to earn your pay on special teams. Yeah. And then the 5th guy obviously does too, but he has a better chance of getting in the game. But I don't really go past that. 1 or 2 deep is about all I play, and I think you only get really 2.5 deep ready, because there's so many checks, there's so many blitz patterns, there's so much little stuff that goes into a ball game.
Do you have those 5 guys?
Right now, coming out of the last scrimmage, it's and in no particular order, it's Herrud, Kelly, Blake Ford, and Hightower have been the guys coming out of the scrimmage. And, we got some other guys. They've done a good job. Maddox Marcellus is a true freshman that did really good job in a limited playing role last week. But I think but those 5 guys are the guys that right now I'm really trying to push their see what they can do.
Yeah, and Hightower's a guy that's been around, which is neat that you got these 3 guys, right now, those 3 guys that have been here, and you're not depending on just new guys, but you got guys that you guys have brought through the system. You've seen, really well. They know you really well. That's also, right. I'm sure that's a lot of fun to see because everybody loves the big splashy transfer guy. But the reality is most of your bread and butter comes from the guys like Ryan who have been here for 3-4 years that you've been able to develop into what you want them to be, and they've been able to kind of catch that culture and carry it on for the next guys, correct?
Well, I think on defense right now we're very lucky to have a good group of guys. Ryan has done a great job. Bake's done a great job. Boss has done a great job. Guys, Shaq Fall's done a great job. Guys, and there's more that I don't pop in my head right now.
Sure,
but there's been guys that just. They've been around the program 3 or 4 years, man, and they're just working and they work together and when things happen in practice that, or would throw some people off, they just pop back and they're like, hey, let's go, whatever it is. Somebody messes up, maybe hey, whatever, let's go, and that's their leadership's been really good, and we're excited about it on the defensive side, and a lot of those guys, some of those guys that aren't starting, like they're still pushing the guys in front of them, and they're still saying, "Hey, man, that's not how we do things. All right, if you work on this, you adjust your alignment a little bit this way. They're helping out the guys in front of them and being great teammates, and that's what you want. I mean, that's what you want out of your program, guys, because they show them the Colonel way. They show them the expectations, and I'm proud of them. And I think we all have a pretty good relationship.
How are you handling with your defense the expectation for this year? You guys come off a good season last year as a team, and the schedule is just loaded this year, but the expectation's still really high. So how do you handle and manage that expectation coming into the season?
Well, I'll tell you, this is like a softball question right here for me because I've been a part of this program since 1997, minus 4 years, and every year I've ever went to a season, the expectations are high around here. Mm-hmm. So I don't look at this year any different than any other year. We have goals, and we have goals that we think we can reach. We have reasonable expectations on how we plan on getting there. We have a plan. That's why, and I've talked to coaches about this that have come in like, man, not particularly this year, this group of coaches, just the expectations of being part of the program in Eastern Kentucky and working at the program in Eastern Kentucky. The expectations are going to be there year in and year out. That's it. That's what the expectations are.
Yeah, I love it. And now with you being here for so long, being in the area, second, I know we're not supposed to look ahead to the second week of the schedule. I get it, Coach. But Kentucky's on the schedule this year. That's a pretty cool thing. You guys get to go up the road, not too far, and get to play spoiler to the Wildcats this season. Again, you've been in the area for a long, long time, so it means something a little bit different than the other games because it's in state and it's just up the road. So having a schedule like that, I want to ask you specifically about Kentucky, but having a schedule like that where you have opponents like Cincinnati and Kentucky on the schedule, how neat do you think it is for this program to have those opportunities to let those kids be seen by scouts and by other people as well going up against these kind of opponents?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we're the only FCS school that has 2 Power 5 opponents this year. And they're both regional games for us. Right. We've played I've had an opportunity to coach against Cincinnati several times. I've had an opportunity to coach against Kentucky several times. Had an opportunity to play against Kentucky when I was younger. So it is good. It's really good for our guys and their exposure and what they're doing. And that's just how Coach Wells has always put the schedule together in the program. He's not gonna we're not gonna go play against whoever you think is a softball team out there. We're not doing that. He's gonna challenge our guys, and because he wants those guys to have a chance to create value for themselves. They go out and play well in that ball game, and all of a sudden, their value as a player goes up. And it is what it is.
I've got two more things for you, but first, Ryan, you got anything else for Coach?
Nah, I'm just ready to get started tomorrow.
Vince, I'm just glad you took my man on and co-host and helping out.
Right.
He told me that this summer. I was fired up.
Yeah, it's been a blast having Ryan on, and I was telling him last week. My dad calls me every Friday. He listens every Friday morning. He goes back and listens to the show, and he always comments on Ryan and how good Ryan's doing on the show and things like that too. So it's been fun. Been fun having him on for sure.
I'll tell you the thing about Ryan I'd like to see this fall camp is he's starting to play with a little bit of attitude about him, and I've enjoyed seeing that. He gets. I went down there and got on the D-line a couple of days ago, pretty good. And but next period or two, he came out there and he was like a personal vendetta against me almost. And heck yeah, man, keep bringing it, baby. I like it. And he went out there and played his butt out, and that's it's been good to see, So we need to keep that up, Rhino.
Yes, sir.
Keeping it up. Now, again, you've been around the program for a long, long time.
Yes,
what can you say about Coach Wells and what he's brought in the time that he's been here to maintain and to instill the culture here around the EKU football program?
Well, I think he's done a really good job, not only pushing what the expectations are for the current players, what the expectations are of when you're coming here winning and doing the things you need to do, but bringing the past back and bringing people in the community back. I know a lot of people around town now that are in the Maroon Fund and do things like that. And he really does a good job of interacting with the community on some things too. So what he's brought back, Eastern's a special place because we all have that 40 year gap of everybody played under Coach Kidd. And then when Coach Kidd was gone, Coach Hope, who was one of his players and who actually gave my first full-time job, and then Coach Hood, who was involved in the program, and all those people coming through. And I was lucky enough to kind of bridge that gap until, a couple of years ago, and I was gone for a couple of years and then come back. So I've been very lucky. And like I said, Coach has done a really good job of, stringing all those people together. Keeping them all together and keeping our university and our football program a brotherhood after they get done, and then keeping the expectations high for the current players.
I love it. Last thing I got for you, Coach. Who do you think is going to lead your defense in turnovers this year?
I don't know. We've been emphasizing it a bunch. So we've done some things. We've talked about some things. I think we're going to do some things for the guys that if they're creating turnovers, to give them a little pub because they all like that stuff. Put their picture up on the wall or something like that. Because I've talked to some coaches, but I don't know. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that when we go out there day in and day out, they're focusing on it now. We've made a renewed emphasis on creating turnovers, and I think you can ask any of the players and the staff. It's been something that we got with some guys this off season, and hey, we just looked at ourselves and what we need to do, and every aspect of creating a turnover. I think we're coaching now, and these guys, I think we're getting them where they're brainwashed, where they know it's what we're trying to get out of them every day. But even when out there today, when somebody made a play on something we're emphasizing on turnovers, the guys on the sideline started goofing off and started making chants about it. So something we do.
That's great. Coach, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you taking some time for us on an evening and everything. I know you're busy all day, so we do appreciate it though.
Hey, I got to hurry out of the office tonight. I kept telling them I had something to do. So we watched the film. We got out of there early. I appreciate y'all having us on, and we appreciate your coverage you give to our program.
Yes, sir. My pleasure completely, for sure. Coach, good luck this season. We'll see you around this year.
All right. I'll see you. See you, Rhino.
Yes, sir. See you.
Jake Johnson, defensive coordinator and inside linebacker coach for EKU, joining us here as well. Ryan, Coach Johnson, he's He's probably heard it. There's been a lot of questions about this run defense. What are we going to do? I mean, last season, walking out of the stadium the last game, everybody, of course, was in a bad mood. But that's how it always typically ends, I guess, except for one team. But nonetheless, Coach Johnson, I know you love Coach Johnson. Give your support for Coach Johnson. What do people need to know about him?
Well, one of the first things people need to know, that man has the most drip on the team.
Oh, really?
Honestly, if y'all look at his shoe game, it's unmatched. I was going to ask him about it, but I know he doesn't like talking about it too much. But his shoe game is unmatched. He just has this knack of believing in you, and you believe everything he says. If you believe he said, every time he says run, hit, get excited, run, hit, get excited, run, hit, get excited, you believe it. And it's bled into our culture. And for the guys like me, Jaylen, Bost, who's been here for a long time, that's the thing. We're trying to bleed down to the younger kids. We want to pursue the ball. We want to make turnovers. We want to make the big plays. And that's honestly all a testament to Coach Johnson and the work he's put in with us to keep putting that in our brains, keep re-emphasizing it, keep seeing it. Like, they show us clips every day of turnovers. They show us plays that can be made, plays that are possible. And they never get down on us too bad for making mistakes. It's just always continuously try and get better. So that's one thing about not only our defensive staff, but Coach Johnson specifically. He has done wonders for me as a player and our program.
I love it. The plan for next week has not been confirmed yet, but the plan for next week is the one and only Coach Walt Wells to come on the program and get us ready for the season. As well. We just got to work out the time and everything with him. But that is the plan. We've been through all the positions, so make sure if you missed any episodes, you can go back on the Sports Stove YouTube or podcast, the Sports Stove podcast. You can find the audio there, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. I got other programs going on too. Every Wednesday night, my dad joins me. We talk all things sports, a lot of football and baseball talk on that program. We actually just started previewing the NFL last night and did the East Division, so you can go check that out. We do some fantasy football stuff there too. And Sunday night, I do a live fantasy baseball show, Sports Stove Fantasy Baseball Show, live at 8 o'clock as well. So lots of content coming out, and make sure you tune in for that. So hopefully next week we got the big man, Walt Wells, back with us. So he's going to get busy real fast here, so we try to get him. He's got his luncheon and his Monday or Thursday night dinner, Monday night dinner. I forget which one, which I should have looked up. Sorry, Rickson. But he's got the dinner that he does with Greg Stoudemire, or the show that he does with Greg Stoudemire in one of the evenings. And then he's got the luncheon on Thursdays that he does at Golden Corral on home game day weekends as well. And so you can catch him there on his night show. He's at some place called Apollo Pizza. Go get yourself some Mad Mushroom and watch it on TV. No, I'm just kidding. We appreciate all the local businesses who support the program. And but we all really appreciate Mad Mushroom for supporting our program, as well as IPM Pest and Termite and All Around Roofing. Ryan, I know that I'm sure you got homework to do. Do they give out homework on the first week of class?
They give out the little introduction assignments, and you can like kind of progressively do them. My schedule is nice for me personally, so I'm excited for this school year. I'm trying to elevate education in my list of daily things to do too.
Okay, nice. It's been a long time since I was in college, and every day I thank the good Lord that I don't have to go back to school. So, but I have a diploma. I graduated. I did it in 4 years and everything. So I'm proud of myself. But nonetheless, but good luck to your classes and getting back into all that and that swing of thing. And I know it is probably a little nice to not have football all day, every day, breaking up a little bit.
It's good to have to think about something else every now and then.
Definitely. All right. So we're back next week, hopefully with Walt Wells, and possibly another guest. We'll discuss that another time. But that's coming up next week, Wednesday. You can tune in live for that, 8 p.m. on Wednesday. Well, I don't know if it's 8 p.m. or not. I'll let you know. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove. We'll announce when the next show will be next week as well. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's show. And again, thanks to Mad Mushroom and IPM Pest and Termite and All Around Roofing for their support of this program. Thank you, Ryan, for your help as well. Thanks to Jaylen, Herrud, who am I forgetting? Derek Day, Jake Johnson. I forget who. I have a short memory. Thank you guys for coming on to the program tonight. Thank you to Rickson for helping us get it all set up as well. Until next time, we'll see you around the sports stove.